Delhi take on Bangalore in the penultimate match of the group stage of the Indian T20 League. The winner of this contest goes through to the playoffs and get 2 shots at a place in the final, while the loser of this matchup hopes and prays and plays the waiting game until the end of Hyderabad-Mumbai to find out what its fate is. Pundit Jodi number 1, Ayaz, Memon and Mandira Lalvani join me for another episode of Cricket Pundits as we look ahead to this encounter. Mandira, Ayaz, welcome to another preview.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anubhav.
We'll kick things off with Mandira, of course, since it's Delhi v Bangalore. Mandira, your thoughts going into this one?
Both my teams, but I have to pick one eventually. Look, both teams are coming on the back of multiple losses. Delhi 4, Bangalore 3. And this is, both teams again were looking at one point in the tournament that there were absolute certainties to be in the playoffs. And it was merely a formality to get that one win. But that one win has also been elusive. Let's start with Delhi. The openers have just not delivered. Okay, whether it's Prithvi Shaw, Ajinkya Rahane, Shikhar Dhawan, yes, from time to time, but even with him for the past 2 matches, we haven't seen anything come off his bat. So a lot of dependence on Shikhar Dhawan, rightfully so. He needs to perform well. He needs to give a solid foundation to the batting to be able to justify or to be able to actually put a winnable score out there. As far as Bangalore is concerned, first and foremost, obviously the pressure for both teams is going to be mad. I think actually for both teams, the 2-3 things that are obviously important are to deliver the first punch, whether it's taking wickets in the power play or whether it's setting up a strong foundation or a strong opening stand. Secondly, to stick to the basics as much as they can, with not to get too ambitious with too many tricks up their sleeves. Just stick with the basics and get the job done, and then come together really well as a unit. Not be dependent on that one odd here or one odd there. Or aaj Marcus Stoinis ki brilliance dekh lete hain. Aaj Akshar Patel has done a fantastic job. Ashwin hasn't. Whatever. Point is, it all has to come together as a balance. But I'm going to quickly pick my 3 players for each team. For Delhi, like I said earlier, Shikhar Dhawan for sure. I think he's crucial for a strong opening stand. And he needs to fire, for Delhi to get off to that start, even mentally. Shreyas Iyer, young captain, young legs. We said it from the beginning. A very, very challenging time for him right now. I'm curious to see, how he keeps it all together. And there's no pressure like this one up till now in the tournament, because this naturally determines whether they go through to the playoffs or are dependent on other people to decide it for them. And the third would be Kagiso Rabada. He's been in supreme touch throughout this entire tournament. He's had a bit of a hiccup, but we need to see him out of it and fast. As far as Bangalore is concerned, definitely Devdutt Padikkal. I think he has been a very reliable opener for the Bangalore side and somebody who's emerged as one of the key finds of this year's 2020 tournament. Virat Kohli for sure. Again, as a skipper, to make sure there's a balanced side, to lead from the front, to play the skipper's knock, and between him and AB to deliver that strong score. And Yuzvendra Chahal. We are nearing the absolute business end of this tournament. Spin has started, making more effective than he is. And he could be very troublesome for the Delhi top order. So those are my picks.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Mandira. Ayaz, Mandira spoke about the glaring issue that plagues Bangalore, which is the over-dependence on AB de Villiers and Virat Kohli, the other Jodi number 1. So after all of these years, is it Groundhog Day for Bangalore? You have Devdutt Padikkal being a reliable player, as Mandira called him, but then no one gives them that final flourish if AB and Virat don't quite fire. Chris Morris, you see him firing in some games, but not quite consistently enough. So is it the over-dependence that's actually Bangalore's biggest nemesis currently?
Well, it's a problem area. I mean, whether it's a nemesis or not, it's a concern, because if you keep them quiet, if you keep de Villiers and Virat quiet and they don't lose their wickets, the run momentum kind of slips because they're trying to build the innings. And if they take risks and one, forget about both. If both, then it's a disaster if both are dismissed. But even if one is dismissed, the innings is gets very wobbly. What we have seen, if you go back and look at all the scorecards, Bangalore have done really well when both have clicked. And if one has to click, then he whether it's Virat or de Villiers, has to play a big knock. It has to be a 70+ knock. So it's important that both of them if they have to make 40, 45, 50, then both have to click, or somebody has to play a 75, 80 kind of a knock. Ultimately, you need that score to defend. The bowlers are not getting a decent enough score to defend. And that's been the problem for Bangalore, because Yuzvendra Chahal, Chris Morris, Washington Sundar, the bowling has actually been quite top class. It's the batting which has been stuttering. But, and Delhi, of course, is an all-round kind of batting is struggling. Bowling, Ashwin and Rabada are not getting a wicket in the last 2 games. Neither of them it looks like they had the best attack apart from Mumbai. And then suddenly it's not working. They're not able to defend the score. They're not able to build a score. what I think has happened is, and four matches on the trot, Delhi has lost. 3 matches on the trot, Bangalore has lost. So there's a crisis of confidence in both teams. वो 14 पॉइंट पे आके गाड़ी अटक गई है. You know, they've been 14 points for the last 10 days, and they're just not moving ahead.
धक्का भी नहीं लग रहा.
And now, धक्का नहीं लग रहा. So it's a crisis of confidence. And I think in this kind of a situation, what will really matter, you know, we don't need to kind of explain the different skill sets that players have, like a Kohli or De Villiers or Shreyas Iyer or Shikhar. We all know what their skill sets are. This is going to be a battle of nerves. This is going to be a battle of wits, of the captains, the players, batsmen versus bowlers, and ultimately it'll be a battle for survival, because one of them will certainly go into the playoffs. The other will be left in limbo, waiting for the match between Hyderabad and Mumbai on Tuesday to see whether they make the cut or not. And even that depends on the net run rate. So, it's imperative that you win. And that's really where it comes in, the mental toughness, which is going to make a difference or not. So from Bangalore, I'll pick De Villiers. I think he's a very, he's a big occasion player. So is Virat. But, I'll pick De Villiers for this match. And then I'll pick Yuzvendra Chahal, because he's if he gets a half decent score, he can defend it. And the third person I'll pick is actually Washington Sundar, because he's been so economical. He may not have picked up too many wickets, but he's always been able to hold the batting or the opposing batsman on a leash. And from Delhi, I'll choose Shreyas Iyer. I think this is a very important game for him as a captain. Already in the past few games, you've seen his shoulder sagging, because he's a young guy. He's not a captain like Dhoni, who's seen it all, been there, done it, etc., etc. This guy has got, ambition of his own as a performer as well as a captain. And just when it seemed that the season belonged to him, it's just gone off the rails. So he has to bat well, he has to lead well. The other guy is Norke. I think in all the, when the bowlers have started getting hit, including Rabada and Ashwin, he's been able to keep his composure. He's not maybe getting as many wickets, but he's not giving away too many runs. And he could be a very big difference for Delhi in this match. And the third player, as Mandira mentioned, is Shikhar Dhawan, because he's also hugely experienced. He's the kind of guy who's been in form. If he bats out 10-12 overs, then Delhi are assured of a big total, because it's very difficult to contain once he gets going. So these are my 3 players from Delhi.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ayaz. Mandira, it's your first team playing your second team. So either that leaves you in splits, or you're like, regardless of who ends up winning, I'll be rejoicing because of my affinity for both teams. Your prediction for this one?
I think Bangalore, has always come so close, and bichare, they get choked at the end, and they haven't been made it to the playoffs since 2016. But on the other hand, I've never seen the Delhi side looking this formidable as it was at the start of the tournament. So I feel like they deserve a place. Ideally, I'd like to see both these teams in the playoffs. So this is whatever happens, I hope ye combination, wo combination karte karate, both of them make it to the playoffs.
And Ayaz, your pick for this contest?
So Mandira has been sitting on the fence, but I'll say, look, I think Bangalore, because in Kohli and De Villiers they've got, and Yuzvendra Chahal and Chris Morris, they've got players of vast experience, And Chris Morris being ghat ka pani piya hua, he's played for many franchises. He knows the business of maintaining your nerve, keeping a strong mind, etc.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ayaz. Thank you so much, Mandira. As Ayaz and Mandira both beautifully summed up, both teams walking the playoff tightrope. But let me just quickly reiterate what the situation looks like. Of course, as we mentioned earlier on in the show, the winner of this contest ends up joining Mumbai with a place in the playoffs. But the loser then has to wait until the end of Hyderabad and Mumbai on Tuesday. If Hyderabad end up losing that matchup, then you have Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore and Kolkata all through to the playoffs. But if Hyderabad end up beating Mumbai on Tuesday, then it's going to be a 3-way battle for 2 spots between the loser of this contest between Delhi and Bangalore, Kolkata and Hyderabad, assuming that they end up beating Mumbai on Tuesday. Thank you so much to Mandira and Ayaz for having joined us for another episode of Cricket Pundits. And a big thank you to all of viewers as well. And stay tuned on our One Play Sports networks. Until next time, stay safe, take care and cheers.